Hey, what's up everybody? This is Osterberg501 and today I want to go over a checklist of things you may want to get done in the upcoming Diablo 4 beta. Now with Diablo 4 being released in March, this upcoming beta may be the only time a lot of people get the chance to play and test out the game before it's released. And for that reason, I think there's a lot of things you're going to want to get done when this beta is actually playable. And keep in mind, if you haven't pre-ordered, you're going to only have 3 days to play it. But if you have a pre-ordered and can get the early access beta, you'll have a total of 6 days, which will give you quite a lot of time to test out all the different classes and content to see if Diablo 4 is even a game you would want to play. Now, if you're fairly certain you're going to want to be playing Diablo 4 when it fully releases, the first thing I would recommend doing is focus on getting the 3 permanent rewards you can get during the beta. And these 3 things include 2 titles, the first being the initial casualty title. You just have to reach the first city called Kovashad. That shouldn't take much time at all. Then the 2 other rewards require you reach level 20. The first reward being the early Voyager title, and the second being the main thing everybody wants, which is a wolf pack cosmetic, which is a little wolf cub you get to carry around on your back that's animated, and pretty much everybody is going to want to get this thing, and all those rewards are going to be permanent for the game. So you'll have them when Diablo 4 is actually released. And these are the only things that are going to carry over from the beta. So if you're going to be buying and playing Diablo 4, I'd recommend you focus on trying to get these at a minimum. Now, past getting those cosmetic rewards, the main thing I would recommend for everybody to do is to try out all of the classes. Now, in the first weekend, which is the early access weekend, you only have access to 3 classes to try: the Sorceress, the Barbarian, and the Druid. But weekend number 2, which is open to everybody, you also have the Necromancer and the Rogue. So in the second weekend, you can try every single launch class. And this is the main thing I'd recommend you try out. Whether you're somebody that knows you want to play Diablo 4 on launch, or if you're somebody that doesn't know if you want to play it or not and are just trying it out to see if it's something you would enjoy, I would still recommend try out all of the classes. Find a class you really enjoy playing. Because if you're somebody that knows you're going to be playing on launch, you want to find the class that you want to start with so you don't waste trying out a class and learning at level 20 that you don't like this class. This gives you the opportunity to try every single class up to level 25, try all their skills, and get a good idea of how they play at a baseline. And then if you're somebody that doesn't know if they want to play Diablo 4 on launch, playing all the classes is going to give you a good idea of the gameplay in general, which could help you be much more informed if this is a game you're going to want to play. And this ties into that last point, but as a more advanced version of that, I would recommend you try a bunch of different builds and skill combinations, because there's going to be a lot of variation on how the different classes play depending on what builds you go for or what skill combinations you're using. For instance, playing a fire sorceress compared to a frost sorceress could play completely different, or playing a melee focused rogue compared to a ranged focused rogue could also be completely different play styles within the same class. Now, just trying out all the classes is still going to give you a base look at how that class is going to play, but going deeper into that and trying different builds and skill combinations for all of those different classes is going to give you an even better understanding of that class and how that class is going to play, and a lot of the different options that will be available to you when playing that class. Because keep in mind that in Diablo 4, the largest sum of your player power is going to come from class progression systems, and less of your power is going to be coming from gear. So the choice of what class to play and what build to play on that class is going to shape a pretty large amount of your general gameplay. And while you're trying out all these different classes with different skill combinations and potentially even different builds, I would also recommend you try out all of the different systems you can get your hands on. Now, everything's not going to be in this beta. There's not going to be Paragon systems or a lot of the other end game focused gameplay features, but a lot of the base stuff is going to be in the beta, and I'd recommend you try out any of these systems you possibly can. Because if you're somebody that's going to want to be playing Diablo 4 on launch, getting your hands on all these different systems is just going to give you more information. You're going to be more knowledgeable about these systems. So once the game is released, you're not trying to figure out all of these different gameplay systems. You know what they are at a baseline, and you can just keep playing, getting more gear and leveling up. And then if you're somebody that doesn't know if they want to play Diablo 4 or not, getting a good grasp on a lot of the base systems could just help you be much more informed on how the game is going to play as a whole and what you're generally going to spend a lot of your time doing. And I just recently went over a video going over all of the different crafting features in Diablo 4, and the vast majority of those should be in the beta, so that can also give you a good idea of how that side of the game is going to play out. Now, a more PC-oriented tip would be to actually see if you're able to run this game on your system and see what type of performance you would be able to expect. If you have a super old PC, you may not want to get the game if your performance is going to be horrible on it. But with the hardware recommendations that they released, it seems like Diablo 4 is going to be very well optimized, and pretty much every Blizzard game ends up being very well optimized and can be played on most systems. But if you're on an older system, that's something I would recommend. And then as a tie-in to that, you can also try out different settings, so different graphic settings, see what you can get the best performance on. You're probably going to end up getting better performance on the official launch of the game because there'll be more optimizations, but then you can also try out different keybinds. And I'm not sure if the beta is actually going to save your different keybinds and settings into the full launch, but what you can do is just try out different keybinds. I know you can change your move from left or right click or other keybinds, and then trying out different keybind combinations to find what you like in this game. And all those type of setting changes and keybind changes are stuff that you don't want to do right when the game comes out. You just want to get in and play. So figuring all that more technical side stuff out in the beta will definitely be a good use of your time. And the final tip is going to be for more hardcore players that already have the game pre-ordered, that know they're going to be playing the game on launch. And that is to figure out the best routes and figure out where everything is in the region we get to play in the beta. Now, this isn't something I would recommend for everybody. I know a lot of people may only play the beta a little bit because they don't want to spoil themselves, or some people may just play it casually to get a feel of the different classes or different skills. But then there's some people that want to play the game more hardcore, that are more of this speed runner type or more optimized, efficient players that are going to want to figure out where everything is in the first region, figure out the best routes to level up the quickest. And in a beta like this, where we have the first full region and the first act, this is a very good spot to optimize the first portion of the game, because we're going to be able to get up to level 25, and this is 1 out of the 5 regions. So this is a pretty big chunk of the game, and being able to optimize this, figure out where all the shrines of Lilith are, figure out the best pathing for questing to level up the quickest, and just figure out where all the other strongholds and teleporters are, is going to be a very big boon if you're somebody that wants to get through the leveling and questing process as quickly as possible once the game is fully released. And I know there are a lot of players out there that just want to get to endgame as quickly as possible, start doing the endgame build crafting and hard content. So if you're one of those people, this is probably the most important thing to you, is trying to figure out how to optimize this first section of the game. But that's pretty much all I have for the checklist of things you can do in the upcoming Diablo 4 beta. And depending on what type of player you are, if you know you're going to play the game on launch, if you're not certain if you're going to get it or not, I think a lot of these different tips will help you to get the most out of this beta. But that's all I want to go over. So subscribe if you want to see more Diablo 4 or other videos. Leave a like if you liked the video. Leave a comment down below what you guys think about the upcoming beta for Diablo 4. And thanks for watching.